I'm Jim Check. You're watching Kelowna Now. With me, all the way from Gibson, we have Nova Ami. Ami? Did I mess that up? Nova?
Nova Ami.
Nova Ami. And the coolest name, Velcrow Ripper. You guys are premiering a movie here, Incandescence, all about wildfires, and it's going to premiere here in Kelowna here. Why tell us your roles in the movie, in the documentary, and then how you came about making it.
Sure. We're co-directors and co-writers on this film, and it all came about way back in the summer of 2017. We were in Gibsons, and we were just socked in by wildfire smoke from wildfires that were happening from really far away. It was the first time that we had experienced the impacts of wildfire like that before, and we thought, this is something that we really need to or want to explore in the form of a film, especially with the climate crisis and the risks of wildfires increasing. So we shared the idea with the National Film Board of Canada and developed the film with them.
Nice. And wildfire, no strangers to the Okanagan. We've faced some really horrific wildfires and loss of homes. Like I think back to the 2003 wildfire where we lost, I think it was 250 homes. This is out of my memory here, 250 plus homes. And then more recently in the West Kelowna fire there when we lost, in that range too, lost a lot of homes. And obviously the smoke that you talk about. And we get the smoke a lot of times from wildfires from wherever, right? Because the Okanagan Valley, the smoke, even if it comes from Oregon or comes from Alberta, and that smoke tends to just sit in the valley here and just kind of like blanket us, right? So wildfire is a huge concern for British Columbian residents for sure, and even Albertans. One of the biggest things that we worry about, and being Kelowna such a tourism-related industry, wildfire is obviously not great when we earn the nickname Smokanogan and stuff like that too, right? Not great for our community.
Yeah, and in fact, we wanted to make a place-based film, and we focused on the Okanagan because it's the most fire-prone area in Canada.
And during the shooting of the film, we actually we focus on two main wildfires in the course of the feature documentary: the White Rock Lake fire, and then the fire that happened, the Dougal Creek fire that happened,
Right.
and badly impacted West Kelowna. So those are the two main fires that are woven through the film. And we decided, after the film has done some film festivals, we just got back from the Santa Barbara International Film Festival for our U.S. premiere, but we decided theatrically to kick it off by showing the film to the communities that are featured in the film. And that's why we're doing a tour through the Okanagan next week.
We're going to watch the trailer. Let's watch the trailer, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about the film and what the message is from the film. So, Rommel, if you could run that clip.
What would the world be without fire? The sun, the stars, the moon, all fire.
A summer of fire has whipped around the world. Entire towns have been wiped off the map.
Thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes.
Hey, say goodbye to our house.
I can't believe this is happening.
We know we're on the front lines of climate change history right now, facing a fire season that is one of the most challenging we've ever experienced.
Fire's an insatiably hungry beast. And without intervention, it'll just keep going. All you have left is ashes.
You have the grief, the anger, the sadness. Why did this happen? How did it happen?
Now it's about what is next.
From the ashes of that burnt grass or tree rises new life.
That's what fire does, right? It brings back all this kind of stuff.
Definitely see things different, to not take things for granted.
Our training has to constantly change to be able to adapt to these fires.
You have to work with fire. It was taught to us by our elders.
I really like fire. I think it's really beautiful. Beautiful, but dangerous.
Put this on your shoulder.
Sorry, we can't hear.
We still can't hear. Let's see.
Not us.
Yeah, it's not us.
Just have to change it from the trailer to.
Rommel.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
Now we're back. Okay. Technology, always your friend, or not so much, right? That video trailer, very powerful. You must be proud of that. And then it debuts here March 11th.
March 11th, it will be playing in Kelowna.
Yeah, at the Landmark Grand 10 at 6:30. So I think, I mean, again, wildfire is a big concern for most people in the Okanagan. It'd be a great film to go watch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
how long did it take you guys to make that film?
Well, from the initial idea, probably 4 years or so. No, more than that.
Mm-hmm.
6 years.
6 years, I guess, in
So
total.
you started. So the Dougal Creek fire wasn't that old, but you just added that footage into that.
That
one.
was
That's right.
towards the end of our production period.
But
Yeah.
there was a big process of development and coming up with the treatment, and then raising the funds, getting greenlit, after we'd done our proof of concept.
That's
So
right. And then
that's
there was
time-consuming.
COVID in there, so everything was on pause.
The
But
film industry just ground to a halt.
That's
right in the middle.
yeah, but we went to the Okanagan several times over the course of 2 years. We filmed over 2 fire seasons. We went during the winter time. We went in the spring. We wanted to explore what the impacts of fire were in every season on the landscape, in the communities, with the wildlife, not just during the fires themselves. Often, when you hear about wildfires in the media, once the fire's over, we don't hear anything after that. And it's really important for us to understand the impacts of these fires because they continue.
Yeah, we still have residents that haven't had, for the Dougal Creek fire, that still haven't had their homes rebuilt. So, I mean, it's still.
Yeah, so
mean,
it's still happening for them.
Still having an impact on a lot of residents. And the 03 fire, it seemed like it was quicker, right? Because it was unusual, and then there was a lot of people that came together to kind of get stuff done quicker. But then this latest fire, it seems to be a lot more tougher to get stuff back to where it should be, right? I don't know why that is, but insurance companies are acting a little bit differently now and stuff like that too. And then I think a lot of people are more surprised in what their coverage was and all kinds of different things, right? So.
Yeah.
Well, insurance is a huge issue in this era, and we're seeing that in Los Angeles right now with the fires down there, and how insurance companies are just refusing to cover certain areas, huge swaths of areas. But one of our subjects of the White Rock Lake fire says, people say, "What are you doing living in a fire zone?" He's like, "Well, basically the whole province is a fire zone now." We've had fires in places that have never burnt before. Including muddy bogs where it's so dry that the peat bogs are now burning, and that can burn all winter. So
stuff will burn in the ground, right? Yeah, so it's tough to put out when these fires get super hot like that. And that's the other thing is like this fire, the McDougal Creek fire, which you talk about, it actually jumped the lake, which most people would have thought wouldn't be possible because the lake's quite wide. And then it jumped the lake. But there was a lot of mitigation done on this side of the lake, so it didn't really get out of hand on this side of the lake, right? But,
mitigation is an important part of the film, actually.
And the firefighting organization that we follow, they're called Rider Ventures. They do a lot of fire mitigation work, doing fuel mods and other work to help prevent the spread of wildfires.
Yeah, and we look at cultural burning as well.
Yeah. We've done quite a few stories on this, including interviewing people like Colson Aviation and that too. They run the biggest wildfire bombing service in the world, and they have a big fleet, but they don't have any contracts here in BC. That was one of the reasons we did that. that
Yeah,
interview.
they're in Alberta. I think.
No, they're in Port Alberni, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, they're in Port Alberni, and that's with the Mars bomber. I'm sure you've heard of the Mars bomber, that
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah, we actually interviewed a pilot, a water bomber pilot, just south of Kelowna, actually, who was taking off.
Tricky work for sure, right? Flying into dense smoke, right, and then dropping your load. But I mean, there is, I don't know if you guys covered, but there is some help on the way too. They're talking about drone technology and fighting 24 hours a day and stuff like that, and like without pilots and that. So mitigation, obviously, one of the bigger factors in there, and obviously climate change causing a lot of this what we're seeing in more fires and bigger fires and hotter fires, right?
And we have to really start fire smarting our own homes. Take responsibility ourselves. And Fire Smart, we're lucky in BC that we've got this great Fire Smart project. And we were in our making the film, we suddenly got very aware of the dangers of wildfire. So we thought, let's get our house fire smarted.
Yeah.
You get an inspection done.
Yeah.
And then they go through a checklist and they advise you on ways that you can fire smart your home and your property.
My son-in-law is actually one of the Fire Smart guys, and he travels throughout the province. And we took out 20 pines that are in our yard, that we took them out, that were all like kind of over top of our house, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fuel away from the home, right? So.
Yeah, he said our house was basically a ticking time bomb, just a fuse waiting to go. He says this is one of the worst. We actually took over the family house, so the trees had not been limbed. So we really took some responsibility and did the
Yeah, well,
same
I
thing.
mean, BC is beautiful in that we get to live in, we have the trees, kind of the canopy, it's kind of its own ecosystem, but it definitely is fuel, right? Like a lot of the pines are actually made or grown so that they kind of die as they go up, right? Because the top is kind of full of life and the bottom just kind of dies off, right? And they're actually built for fires too. So if the fire is not too hot, right? So that, when a brush fire comes through, they just kind of like burn past. But, when the fires get super hot, not such a good thing, right? So.
Yeah, that's why the traditional indigenous practice of cultural burning was so important, because it kept the fuel load manageable, and we need to return to that. And now we actually film in the film collaboration between BC Wildfire and the Penticton Indian Band, where they're working together to do really large scale prescribed burns, and sharing that knowledge back and forth, and that's definitely the way of the future.
And I agree with you. That is the key to success, especially around homes and the interface fires, right? So keeping the fires, like the fuel, away from the homes and the communities is probably, because like the fires are actually Mother Nature's cleaning up the forest. Because the safest place to be in a forest fire is in an old fire, right? Because like that, in your film you covered off there, like the regrowth, right? It kind of like re-energizes the area, right?
Or with beavers, nature's
nature's housekeeper.
Yeah, we highlight different species in the film, and beavers are one of our characters that you'll see. We spend a little bit of time with.
A great Canadian icon, the beaver.
Yeah. But one of our goals with this film was really to explore our relationship with fire, and the complexities around it, and so because it's not all bad, and it's about respecting fire and really working with fire. So that's one of the key messages. And also, we wanted to create an experience that was very cinematic and immersive. And so with this film, we don't have talking heads. For example, with the interviews, we hear people's voices and we see them on screen, but we don't have a person talking to the viewer directly. And we also use soundscape as our score, as our oral experience. We don't have a musical score per se. And Velcrow is the sound designer on this. So, we're seeing the trailer again. Yeah. So that was one of our approaches artistically, was to not have a musical score.
Yeah, I mean, fire is completely mesmerizing for a lot of people, right? I mean, it is probably the biggest discovery man's ever made. Fire is like anything with great power, like fire. There's a good part of it and the bad part of it, right? So it's kind of changed our world, fire, for the good end, I guess, like on this side of it, a tougher part of it. But like fire is energy, really, right? energy being unleashed, right? So very interesting and very mesmerizing. And you know, just from the trailer, it sounds like that would be a great thing to experience in a theater. So it's going to play in theaters, and then will it go on? Will you try to get it on some of the streaming services at some point too? Or
in Canada, it will be on nfb.ca, which is the National Film Board of Canada's website. They stream so many films. I have no idea how many thousands of Canadian documentaries on there. So it's a great place, and not just documentaries. Animations and features as well.
Yeah, and all free of charge, so it's a great place to watch it once. But you know, the film is really made for the big screen, so if you get a chance to come down and see it on the big screen, people say it's really an experience, an immersive experience.
Just the fire is like a thunderous roar, right? When fire is going, right? You know what I mean? Like I used to work for the forestry service as well. I worked for AFS and had to drive through fires, right? You know, like a young guy, I was running a hot shot, so you drive stuff out to different fires and be fire burning on both sides of the road, and you're just you know, just like looking straight ahead and trying to get through it, right? So
and you know, it's important to know when you watch the film that is the experience that people talk about, that it really feels like you're in that environment. And firefighters have commented on that as well, that even the sounds of fire, that's what they experience.
We really captured it. So yeah.
If you don't experience it, like, you know, if you don't work out there and you don't experience it, the theater would be the next best place. Well, probably the safest place to experience it for sure.
Yes, indeed.
So you've done that film now. What's next for you guys? Is there a sequel to this, or is there something else?
There isn't a sequel per se, but we are working on another documentary. It's called Emergence. And it's following women at the forefront of the climate emergency and looking at how we navigate this time. You know, we're experiencing all these climate disasters, floods, wildfires, extreme heat. How do we move forward? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we prepare, not just practically, but emotionally and spiritually? And how do we build community so that we can be resilient?
Okay. So again, March 6th, 6:30, landmark.
March 11th.
March 11th? Where did I get that from? Like, what am I talking about? March 11th, that's right. March 11th, 6:30 p.m. at the Landmark Grand 10. That's a great theater too, on McCurdy Road. And then after that, then you can watch it on the NFB website, right?
Yeah, by the summer, and it'll be playing in other places. It'll also be at the Fire Smart Conference in Penticton in the spring.
The best way to follow the film screenings is to go to the National Film Board social media sites, and
we'll put these links in the bottom of this video too, and in the story. We'll do a story on this, and it'll be in there so people can find it, right? And we'll put the trailer in this as well, on the bottom too, so people can see that trailer if they want to play it over and over again. Because lots of times, it's good to. I mean, I think when you watch a film and you missed a lot of stuff, and you watch it a couple of times, you see different things, right? Because your eyes are focused in a certain area, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you thanks for taking the time and telling us about your film. And we do thank you for watching Kelowna Now.